So there's this implication that there's this overall like subservience and obedience to her husband despite the circumstances. So what would you say in response to that?
Yeah, what I would say first and foremost, as Muslims, if when we're talking about male-female relationships, oftentimes Muslims will bring up those hadiths that you've mentioned, which are quite controversial. A number of them are authentic, but you also have some unreliable and weak hadiths and fabricated hadiths about how women should kind of obey their husbands. What I would say is again is looking at what traditional Muslim scholars have said about those hadiths. Some scholars don't actually accept those hadiths because in their understanding, it contradicts the Quran. Because if you look at the Quran and the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about male female relationships, it's one which is like a partnership for both them, that women have rights, men have rights. The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about intimacy, Allah uses a beautiful metaphor to describe men as being garments for their wives and also wives to be garments for their husbands. So when you look at the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even speaks about marriage, it should be based on mawadda, which is love, rahma, which is mercy, and there should be tranquility, sakina. So this is something that should be underpinning in terms of how we understand the male-female relationships. Now, when we look at the hadith tradition, one, first and foremost, needs to contextualize these hadiths, and then what scholars will try and do is try and understand what is the intended meaning, because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a number of hadiths, and this is quite common in Arabic, especially during the time of the Prophet, that he will use a lot of like hyperbolic speech, like exaggerated speech, and not everything should necessarily be taken literally.